And so here we are, my dear ones. How wonderful it is to be in your company on this great day, Mother's Day. It's always a wonderful, beautiful thought in my mind as I remember the experience of what it is to have a mother and the wonderful and beautiful mother that I did have. I'm so grateful for. So I bless all you mothers out there and all those of you who are playing the role of a mother, be you male or female. You are indeed an extremely needed and most important energy on this plane right now, because if ever a planet need mothering, it is this one and now. And so, salute you. All praise and blessing to and through you. And so it's a great good day to be thinking about the boldness, the fierceness, the powerfulness of this thing called love that we're always trying to get on the inside of more and more and more, because the little we know of it is little, and there's so much more to know. And to know it, to experience it, and to express it is what we're called to. So as the poet says, love will do the deed, for with love stony hearts will bleed. And so as we think about love, it is nothing to do with all of the stuff we see necessarily on the screen as Hollywood have us to believe love to be. There's nothing syrupy about it. There's nothing weak about it. There's nothing one-toned about it. Love is a many splendid thing, as the song said some time ago. And it's a many splendid thing that we're unfolding all the time, unfolding all the time, unfolding all the time. I have to say, every time Mother's Day comes around, I don't know why, but I always think of the Irish poet and patriot Patrick Pearse and the poem his mother wrote when her two sons, her only children, were faced with the impossibility of living through the Irish uprising in 1916, when the real thrust for Irish independence was kicked off, so to speak. And she writes in the poem, "I do not grudge them, Lord. I do not grudge my two strong sons that I've seen go out and meet their fate and die. They and a few in bloody protest for a glorious thing. Lord, thou art hard on mothers. We suffer in their coming and in their going." And it goes on and it ends up with, "My sons were brave and they fought." And of course, they did not make it through. That uprising was a bunch of really poets and idealists and teachers and so on, professors, and every one of them was executed after the uprising. Indeed, one of them had to be carried in. He was already wounded. He was shot. And so at that time, Ireland was weeping for the loss of the cream of their creative young people and so on. But out of that eventually came the freedom. But she just nailed it when it came to, the suffering that mothers have to endure and keep enduring throughout a child's life, really, because you're always, always mothered by your mother, no matter how old you get to be and how old she gets to be. So this thing called mother love is an amazing thing. And it's a good example for us when we're looking at the boldness and the strength of love. But this is not a syrupy thing at all, because a mother's love you can see in a she-wolf. It's exactly like the love a she-wolf has without the bite. It's exactly like the boldness of the warrior without the sword. It is something that, unless you're a mother, you can't fully ever grasp. And it's certainly filled with sacrifice. A mother will sacrifice herself every which way for the well-being of her child. It's just the bond that is there, and it's just how it is. And so when we think of that kind of love, you can multiply that and expand that when you think about the love that life has for you and for me, the love that the Creator has for you and for me. There's nothing held back. Everything is given. All is provided for. Now, we can mess around in this arena of love and, listen to all of the verbiage around it. And I listened very recently to Valerie Kerr, who's written a new book called, it's a new book about I Have No Enemy. No Enemy. And I'll get the real title for you. It's just, just this morning came across it. And I'm going to get it, and I'll probably end up doing a class on it because it's so amazing. This woman is so amazing. She was born in the U.S., and she is a Sikh, and she quotes the main vision and mission of their wonderful guru Nanak. And Nanak was such a beautiful soul that Nanak was highly acclaimed by both Hindus and Muslims, as well as the Sikh. They all owned him as their guru because he had the sweetness and the boldness of what it is to be spiritually alive. And his whole theme is, there are no strangers. I never met a stranger. I never met an enemy. The stranger and the enemy are but that part of me that I have not yet discovered. That was the message this beautiful soul had for us all. And if you think about that, it's extremely, extremely challenging. That the one I call stranger, or more than that, the one I call enemy, is just another part of me that I haven't yet discovered. I haven't yet discovered. I mean, how many people can say of you and for me, she never met a stranger. He never met a stranger. See, that's the power and the awesomeness of love. But love is a complex and many splendid thing. Love is oftentimes, it's bold, it's brave, it's messy, it's bloody, it's fierce, it's breathless. Ask any mother who gives birth to a baby. She'll tell you. And really the beauty and the grace, we're all called to be midwives. We're all called to birth something, birth something, birth something. And it's always goodness of some kind or another. We're birthers. We're natural birthers. We may not have given birth to a baby, but we're birthing something all of the time, good, bad, or indifferent. But we're called to birth everything from love, and to birth that energy. That's what we're called to do. And so, yes, we have to have the boldness of the she-wolf without the bite, the boldness of the warrior without the sword, the boldness of a mother who will defend her infants against all odds and succeed. The boldness of that mother whose child was pinned under the car, and she lifted it up herself, a little woman, to get that child out. It's amazing what the power and the energy and the commitment of love can accomplish, can achieve. And that's what today is all about. Indeed, it's what every day is all about. Every day is a love day. Every day is an opportunity for you and for me to get out there into the mirror of the world, look into it and see how much love we can find. How much love we can find. How much love we can bring to this world. Oh yes, love is revolutionary, there's no doubt about it. Absolutely it is. It is absolutely drastic in its way, in many ways. And if you want to know what love is, and if you want to know what revolutionary love is, go to the scriptures. Read Luke and read Matthew and see love as presented through the master teacher, the Christed one, Jesus. And you'll know what love is all about. And there's nothing meek or small or syrupy about it. It's an atomic power. It's beyond atomic power in its energy. And yes, love is the only thing that can handle all that needs to be handled in this world, in your life, and in the life of everyone on the planet, and all life on the planet. It's the only thing. That's why we have spiritual communities, all of us, doesn't matter what the faith is. We're all focused on the one thing: how can I be a good neighbor? How can I be a good neighbor? How can I be a good neighbor? How can I treat all people as my brother, as my sister? All people. Why is it that I want to make people wrong so much of the time so that I can be right? Why is that still ongoing after 2,000 years and more of the messages of love streaming forth? What is that about? I ought to be able, and you'll find it within your own family, disagreements, very different opinions, and yet we ought to be able to love each other beyond the opinions. And any group that differs from me, I ought to be able to put aside what the difference is and just see my neighbor, myself and my neighbor, and love the good in the person, not their ideologies. For as long as we define ourselves through our ideologies, we'll never get it right. We'll always be divided and separated. We'll always be fighting with each other. And it's time to stop fighting with each other, because we've learned over the eons, fighting doesn't work. What does it take? Are we supposed to annihilate all of ourselves, all of the whole world, before we get that? Fighting doesn't work. First thing you learn as a child is don't fight with your brother, don't fight with your sister. Be gentle. Mummies and daddies don't like it when children fight. And so we need to get that at an early age. And so I think that the best chance the world has is for parents to start very young with their little ones and gentle them into understanding that we're here as love, to love each other, to be kind to each other. And sometimes that demands great boldness, great courage. I don't know how any Christian can look at the scriptures and not be moved by, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who persecute you and despitefully use you. There's no getting away from that. That's what it says. That's what's stated. And who proved it? Jesus gave his life proving it. Look at the radicalness of Jesus, who embraced every single type of person in society as an equal, on an equal basis. Look at his apostles, strange characters in there too. A tax collector, for heaven's sakes. They were the most hated people after the Romans amongst the Jews. So I think for love to be love, it has to show up in your life and mine. I have to be able to identify it wherever I am. Now, this business of seeing no stranger, no enemy, but rather seeing some part of me that I've yet to contact and be in touch with and get to know, is a huge challenge. Well, it is for me anyway. And yet that's what we're called to. Wouldn't be called to it if we weren't equal to it. Wouldn't be called to it if we couldn't do it. We can. But we're so used to seeing others wrong and ourselves right that we can't get past that. Now, what did Rumi say? Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. The field is the field of higher conscious awareness, wherein there is only unity and oneness and perfect flow. Love. Love. Love makes us breathless at times. Yes, breathless. Ask Mommy when she's birthing the baby, when she's gasping for a breath. Not only does love demand our breathlessness at times, but then what does it demand? Okay, take a conscious breath and then push. Any mom will tell you that. The push is very potent and very important. And some mothers will push with their last gasp when they feel, are you kidding me? I can't hardly breathe, far less push. And yet they do. In love, you and I must not forget the push, the potency, the power, the force of that energy. It's not enough to wish that everybody would love each other. It's not enough to pray that love will be experienced by all. You have to pray and move your feet, and the moving of the feet is the push. And when you say push, you can feel the power in that. A mother, when she's pushing to birth that baby, gives it every single oomph she has. And she doesn't even know where it came from. She's so exhausted. And yet it comes. Yes, that's love for you. It's potent, it's fierce, it's bloody, it is bold, it is energetic, it is a movable thing. That's what it is. And Valerie Kerr, who wrote that beautiful book, There Are No Strangers, she was talking about her granddad. And he said, well, you know, in this country, she's born here, the family's established for a long time. In this country, everybody goes around telling each other they love each other, but you don't see any movement behind that, much. I had to think about that, and I said, yeah, it's true, we're loving each other all the time. Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. It's just so casual now. I love you, I love you, I love you. What does it mean? It's like when you get caught out and your mom or dad says to you, don't ever do that again. You say, no, I won't ever do it. No, I won't do it ever again. I won't do it ever again. But as soon as, the chance is there, the child, odds are, will do it again. So love is this power. It is this energy. It is right there at the center core of your being, snoring its head off mostly, waiting to be awakened, to be used, to be sent forth, to be energized, and to be out there doing what love does. Brings about change, and it brings about transformation, and at times transcendence. And that's what revolutionary love is all about. Transformation and transcendence. Yes, Jesus was a revolutionary. Indeed, he was, of course. And a fierce one at that. And when you look at the master teacher, Christ Jesus, he was all kinds of things. He was pure love and pure emotion. And he cried over Lazarus. He wept over Lazarus, his dear friend who had gone. And yet, he went into that temple and he broke up those tables in that temple where people were being taken for granted and charged high prices for a little dove to offer as an offering or what else. He went in there and he says, this is a house of God and you have turned it into a den of thieves. Bold. When he was faced with the opportunity of going up into Jerusalem at the Passover, everybody who knew him said, you're a crazy man. You're out of your tiny mind. Go up there and that's the end of you. You know it. They're out for you. You know they're looking for you. And what are we told? His face was set on Jerusalem. Nothing could persuade him not to go where love was leading him. But he knew love couldn't lead him where God could not keep him. He knew that. He knew whatever faced him, he would be in the presence of the Father, and the Father would be in him. And he could do whatever it was he had to do. And love then speaks again from his place of death, the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They are my sleepy brothers and sisters. They are my unconscious brothers and sisters. They don't know what they're doing. So what is this all about? It's all about, what is love to you? What do you experience love as? What do you think love as? How does love show up in your life? Does any of this make sense? Could this apply to you? Could this apply to me? What is this asking of me in this moment now, this understanding of love and what it is? And remember, there is a cost to love. There's a cost to being a lover, a spiritual lover. The cost is to be spiritually active. We are spiritual activists. We are movers. We're not just the speaker of the word, the declarers of the word. We're also the manifestors, the demonstrators of the word as well. That's why we're here. Make a difference, for heaven's sakes. That's what love says to you. Get up off your lazy spiritual derriere, says love, and be what you're here to be. You're dragging your heels, kiddo. Get up, get out, get at it. Be fierce in your commitment. Be bold and strong in your endeavor. And know that you don't do it alone, because you couldn't do it alone. It's impossible to do it alone. But that power and that presence of life and light and love and peace and beauty and power and all of it goes with you. Goes with you, goes before you, prepares the way so that you can be what you came here to be, love incarnate. You are the incarnation of love, and so am I. And that's no small thing. And yes, it is demanding, but yes, we do have the capacity to be all that we're here to be. So let love do the deed, for with love stony hearts will bleed. So, great lovers of the world, unite, and let us bring this baby to birth, the baby of unity and harmony and oneness. And then life will be as it always was meant to be. Peace on earth and goodwill moving through all. Isn't that wonderful? But not so wonderful as you are, and especially as we are when we wake up. And now, Reverend Catherine is coming forward, and she has something to share with us.
This is the time in our service where we share messages from our members and friends that show us how we are meeting our mission to them, which is to honor your presence, nurture your spirit, and enrich the life of all we serve. And this is one of those messages. Something very unexpected happened, an accident, I guess. I'm not hurt in any way, but others seem to be. It was such a strange feeling to, maybe in a bit of shock, to be involved but unaffected. I'm still figuring out what all of this means. Maybe it's a little bit like people who come through the pandemic with little effect to them. But I did remember to keep thinking of blessings. The one thing I know to do is to always be grateful. I am writing this letter to say how grateful I am to learn to be so confident about my safety and my life. And thank you.
Beautiful message shared, and we appreciate you for sharing your messages with us. They're always inspiring and they're always emboldening, And they're always part of the mystery of the life that we live, because life is a sacred mystery. And as you know, with mysteries, they're all the time unfolding. They're all the time unfolding. So be okay with the mystery that your life is, and trust the guidance in it. Trust that power and that presence and that energy that opens up the way for you and for me to proceed. And so now, my dear ones, we're going to celebrate our fullness. We're going to celebrate all the good that we enjoy by sharing some of it. We take the loaf of our daily bread and we share some. And then the next day, the loaf is bigger, because that's how sharing works. It's a beautiful thing, but don't take my word for it. Watch out for it yourself. And so we're going to take our gift between our blessing hands, and we're going to say, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. And we rejoice in the sharing of our good, and we release our gift with love. And so it is. And so it is. And thank you. Thank you so much for all of your support for our beautiful work here in our center that continues in your name and on your behalf. And for all your good thoughts, your good feelings, your good energy that you don't even know about with regard to the good that does. And for just being your own good self. And now we're going to have our prayer, and we're going to bless all mothers with this prayer now, because remember that prayer, Lord, thou art hard on mothers. We suffer in their coming and in their going. And there are many, many thousands and thousands and thousands of women who have a very hard time on this plane, endeavoring not only to birth their babies, but to be able to take proper care of their babies. We keep them especially in mind now. All mothers who are suffering in some way or another. All mothers who could do with a little bit of help right now in some way or another, whether they're here in our own communities or whether they're elsewhere. We hold them up now in sacred love, and we know for them comfort and ease. I know divine love enfolds me, divine light leads me, divine life lives in me, divine wisdom inspires me, divine compassion expresses through me, and divine power protects me. All that I am is Spirit's life and expression. It is good and very good. With deep joy and generosity filling me, I go forward now in sacred service, supporting a compassionate world that works for all. I move through my days with grace and ease and peace and love, in health and wellness, in fullness and plenty, and in loving relationship with all. What I now know for myself, I know for all life. There is only God. There is only God. There is only God, and that God shows up by means of you. That God is love. That God is goodness. And so, my dear ones, until we meet again, stay in touch. Stay closely connected with yourselves and each other and with our center, because we are indeed representing you wherever we show up. And I thank you for assuring the legacy of this great work in Redondo Beach, that it continues for generations to come. So take good care of yourself. Have a great, good day, and all of you mothers, feel good about yourselves and allow everybody to spoil you royally, because you deserve it. And so I will leave you the way the children always do. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy shout out to Carol in Ireland. I know it's not your Mother's Day, it's ours, but you can celebrate again. And to all of my family there. Peace song.